Hi everyone, in this video we will discuss all the TypeC questions with their solution from the chapter list manipulation of class 11. Now write a program to increment a list with a number. So let's have a list here. L is having some values and we can just print the original list is L. Now the number which has to be incremented with the list that can be taken by the user and it can be stored in a variable, let's say num. Now we'll just append this number at the end of this list. So L.append, within that you can pass num. Now you can print the list. This is like this. So initially the list was having 3 elements. Now you have entered one more number which is appended at the end of the list. So this is how a list can be incremented by a number. And if you want to put it in a loop, that means it will be incremented as many times the user wants. You can give a number and increase the length of the list. In that case, you have to put it in a while loop. You can also do the same program where the user will enter the numbers as long as the user wants. So you have to put it in a loop. So we'll take a list like this. First of all, we'll print the initial list. Then while true, it will ask the user to enter a number num. Then that will be appended with the list. Then again, it will ask the user whether he wants to continue or quit. Then the result, that is C or Q character, will be stored in a variable ans or answer. If answer equal to C, that means the user wants to continue, then the loop will continue. If the answer is Q, then the user wants to quit, so you can just break over there. Okay, so like this. If the user will press C, then it will continue. And it will ask again one more number to enter, and that will be appended with the list. So like this, once you run this program, you'll get the list is like this. Then it will ask the user to enter a number. Let's say the number entered is 5. Then again, it will ask whether to continue or quit. Let's say the user presses C. Then again, it will ask to enter another number. Let's say the number entered is 3. Now it will ask whether to continue or quit. Now if the user presses Q, then it will quit over there and it will show the list is like this. 619, then the new values that the user entered, that is 5 and 3, both are appended at the end of the list. Now write a program that reverses a list of integers in place. So if you want to just reverse a list in place, then you have to just call reverse function. You can see here a list is having some values and I have just called reverse function on the list so that the list there itself, the values will be reversed. And now if you print the list, then it will show you the values in reverse order, because when reverse function is called, the elements of the list have been reversed in the same list. Now write a program that input two lists and create a third list that contains all elements of the first followed by all elements of the second. So you have to take two lists as input. Here you can use eval function. So while putting the values, you have to enter within square brackets. So that will be considered as a list type of object. Now these two list variables, you have to take lst1 and lst2. Then you can create another third list, that is lst3, which is just the concatenation of first two lists, lst1 plus lst2. In that case, what will happen? The elements of lst2 will be appended at the end of lst1. So the third list is lst3. So while running the program, let's say the first list entered is, let's say, having values 1, 2, 3, and the second is having values 4, 5, 6. So you can see the third list is having like this, the values of second list appended at the end of the first list. Now ask the user to enter a list containing numbers between 1 and 12. Then replace all of the entries in the list that are greater than 10 with 10. So we will take a list variable, let's say lst, and here the user has to enter the values of a list. So you can use eval function over here so that the values entered by the user will be considered as a list, but remember that it has to be entered within square brackets. Now we will take a for loop for I in range length of lst. That means I will range from 0 till whatever is the length of the list, that minus 1, because the last value will not be iterated. So for I in range length of LST, so it will iterate through all the elements if LST of I is greater than 10. That means the element which is present at index number I, if it is greater than 10, then assign that particular index value with 10. Okay, so LST of I equal to 10. In that way, all the values present in the list will be iterated, and whichever value will be more than 10, that will be replaced with 10. Okay, now you can just print the list is LST. So once you run the program, it will ask the user to enter a list. Suppose the user has entered this list. And in this list, you just have to make sure that the number should be in a range 1 to 12. And those numbers which are like more than 10, those are now replaced with 10, you can see. Now ask the user to enter a list of strings. Now create a new list that consists of those strings with their first characters removed. So first of all, the user has to enter a list of strings that he can enter by using eval function and store it in a variable lst. Now we will create another list, let's say new underscore lst, which is initialized with one empty list. This list will store all the same strings where the first character is removed. Now we'll iterate through all the strings which are present in the list lst. So for str in lst, we will just find out the new string and we'll store it in a variable new underscore str. Here this new string will have this first character removed from the original string. So new underscore str is equal to str within square bracket 1 colon. So this is a string slicing just done over here. So here it will store all the characters which are present starting from index number 1 till the end of the string. Okay, that means the character which is present at index number 0, that will not be added, that is not included. So obviously new underscore str will store the particular string where the first character is removed. Now we will just append this new underscore str in our list new underscore lst. So new underscore lst dot append, within that you just have to pass new str. Now at the end of this loop, once you print this list new list, then you can see the output is like this. While running the program, suppose you have entered the strings such like this, let's say list in Python. These are the 3 strings which are entered by the user. Now after execution, you can see now the list becomes like this. In list L is not there and in I is not there, in Python P is not there. So this is how you will get. Now write a program to check if a number is present in the list or not. If present, print the position of the number. Now print appropriate message if it is not present. So this is a simple program. You just have to search in a particular list for an item. So here let's say your list is like this. Within the program itself, I have initialized a list with some values. Now it will ask the user to enter a number which will be stored in a variable num. Then it will check for all the items present in the list. So for item in LST, this is a for loop. We'll check each and every item with num. If item equal to num, then it has to print that the number is present and it is at particular index number. What is the index number? You can call the index function over here. lst.index, within that you can pass the item. So it will show you the index number of that particular item, which is equal to num. Now just break over there. That means we don't want to iterate further. Once we get the number, then we will stop there. Then else statement is there. Here you can see this else is referring to the for loop. So when the for loop will complete its execution, then it will print the number is not present in the list. That means it has completed the for loop and it has not found the element in the list. So once you run the program, you can see, let's say the number entered by the user is 23. Then it will print that the number is at index number 3. Now in the second run, let's say the user has entered a number 10, which is not present in the list. So it will just print the number is not present. Now create the following list using a for loop. First list which is consisting of integers starting from 0 to 49. Another list which is consisting of the square of the integers starting from 1 to 50. And another third list which is having elements like this. A is a single time printed. B is 2 times B is another string. Then C is another string. That means depending on the position of the characters, that character is printed that many number of times. And it ends with 26 copies of Z. Now let's do this program. Now we'll create three lists which will store the corresponding values LSD1, LSD2 and LSD3 which are initialized with empty list. Now for I in range 50, that means I will range from 0 to 49. So those values will be appended with LSD1. So LSD1 dot append, within that you can pass the value I. So LSD1 will be having values 0, 1, 2, 3 like this till 49. So that's about your first list. Now move to the second for loop. For I in range 1 to 51. So here I will iterate from 1 till 50. Okay, now lst dot append I to the power 2. So every time it will store I to the power 2 values. That means 1 square, then 2 square, then 3 square like this up to till 50 square. That's all. Now for the third list, you can see you have to store the characters. So for I in range 1 to 27, you can see there are 26 characters. So we will take the range from 1 to 27. So that your I will iterate from 1 to 26. Now lst3.append, here we will just add I plus 96. 96 will be added with I and converted into character equivalent. You can see the Unicode equivalent of the small letter A is 97. Okay, small letter B is 98. So like this. So for small a, just have to write CHR, within that I plus 96. It has to be converted into character by using CHR function. Now, how many times it will be printed? It has to be printed I times. That means the first character A will be printed one time because I value is 1. The second character B will be printed 2 times. That time I value will be 2. Like this, it will continue, and final value is Z will be printed 26 times. So after finishing all these loops, you just have to give the print statement to display the lists. Now I can see once you run the program, you'll get the output like this. First, LST1 is having the values from 0 to 49. LST2 is having the values from 1 to 50, where all the values are squared. Now LST3 is like this: A, B, B, C, 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 D, 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 like this, and your last string is Z printed 26 times. Now write a program to take any two lists L and M of same size and add their elements together to form a new list N, whose elements are some of the corresponding elements in L and M. So this is a very simple program. First of all, you have to take two lists L and M having equal size. That means they should have same number of elements. So here I have taken 5 number of elements. Now n is the third list, which is initialized with a empty list. Now for I in range length of L, you can see here L is having 5 values. So I will range from 0 to 4. Now n dot append L of I plus M of I. L of I means the first value which is present at index number 0 of the list L, and M of I is also the first element of the list M which is at index number 0. So these two will be added and it will be appended in the list N. Okay, so like this it will add all the elements taking one values, the corresponding values from list L and M. It will be added and it will be appended with the list N. So at the end of the for loop, your list N will be ready. So once you run the program, you can see the new list is like this, where all the corresponding elements are added with each other. Now write a program that rotates the elements of a list so that element at first index move to the second, second to the third, etc. like this, and last element will move to the first index. So you can see here your list is like this. Now we have to print the rotated list. Here we will just do concatenation of two lists. So first of all, we will take out the element which is at the last position, or that is at the index number -1. So here you can see that is L of -1. That means the element which is present at index number -1, that is stored in one list. Okay, so that is kept within square bracket. That means that is considered as a list. So our first list is with the last element of this particular list, and your second list will be with the rest of the elements of this first list. So you can see plus L of 0 to -1. So it will store all the elements starting from index number 0 till -1. That means the last element will not be added. So it will have all the elements starting from 0 to -1, that is 5, 13, 9 and 11. And your first list is having element 10. So your two lists are ready and you just concatenate these two lists so that you will get a rotated list like this, where your like can see once you run the program will get like this. Your last element will come to the beginning and the rest of the elements will follow it. Now write a number that reads n to display nth term of Fibonacci series. The Fibonacci series is 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5 like this. As you know, in Fibonacci series each number is the sum of its previous two numbers, and the initial values of Fibonacci series is 0 and 1. The next term is the addition of these two terms, that is 1. Next is 2, as the addition of previous two terms. So like this your series will continue. Now we have to print the number which is at nth term. So that n you have to take from the user as input. Now we will create a list F which will store the Fibonacci series and initialize it with first three values of the series, that is 0, 1, 1. Now we have to print nth term and first three numbers are ready in the list, and we need to extend the list with list of n minus 3 values. Okay, so for I in range n minus 3, so I will have values from 0 till n minus 3. It will continue, the loop will iterate, and within the loop what will happen, f dot extend f of I plus 1 plus f of I plus 2, that you have to keep within a list. So your list will be extended with this value. So f of I plus 1 is when I value is 0, so f of 0 plus 1, that is 1, plus f of 0 plus 2, that is 2. So the element which is at index number 1 and index number 2, that is 1 and 1, those two will be added and the value is 2. So your list will be extended with a value 2 in a first iteration. In a second iteration, when I value is 1, then f of 1 plus 1, that is 2, f of 1 plus 2, that is 3. So the values at index number 2 and 3 will be added and that will be stored at index number, at next index number. You can see that value will be extended. So like this, at the end of this loop you will get your Fibonacci series up to n terms. Now if you want to print that, you can just print it. Fibonacci series up to n terms is f, the entire list will be printed. Now if you want to just print the nth term of the Fibonacci series, then you have to just print f of n minus 1. Okay, that means the item, the element is at index number n minus 1. Nth term is at index number n minus 1. Why? Because the first term is at index number 0, second term is at index number 1. Like this, nth term will be at index number n minus 1. So once you run the program, let's say we want to print the ninth term of the Fibonacci series. Then Fibonacci series up to 9 terms, it is printed over here. And the nth term of the Fibonacci series is like this, 21. Now write a program as per the following specification. Return the length of the longest string in the list of string str underscore list. The precondition is the list will contain at least one element. And second one is L is a list of numbers. You have to return a new list where each element is the corresponding element of list L summed with number num. Now str underscore lst is a list of strings, and here I have taken 3 strings. Python is fun. Now first of all it will check if str underscore lst is empty or not. If the list is empty, that means there is no element in the list, then it has to print that the list should contain at least one element. This is the first condition. Otherwise, that means if it is having some elements, then we need to find out the longest string. So for that we will create a variable, it's a longest, and we'll assign it with an empty string, and this one will store the longest string basically from the list. Now we'll iterate through all the items present in the list for item in str underscore lst if length of the item is greater than length of the string longest. Then longest is assigned with that value item. Longest is equal to item. Okay, so in that way it will continue, the loop will iterate, and at the end of the loop you will find out the longest string in the variable longest. Now it has to print the longest string is longest. Now you can see the output is like this. The longest string is Python. Now this next part of the question is you have to just have a list of numbers and it has to be added with a constant value. Let's say the list is like this and the number to be added is 10. Now there will be a new list which will store the values. That means when the list values are added with this number. So you have to take a for loop for I in range length of L. It will iterate through the length of L. New list dot append L of I plus num. So L of I means the value which is at index number I. That means for first iteration, it will take the value which is at index number 0, that is 3, then that will be added with 10, that will be 13, and 13 will be appended with the new list. Like this, it will continue, and by the end of the loop, you will get your new list like this. Once you run the program, you will get your new list is like this: 13, then 18, then 2 plus 10, 12, 7 plus 10, 17. Like this, it will give you the answer. Now write a program to read two lists, num and denum, which contain numerators and denominators of same fraction at the respective indexes. Now display the smallest fraction along with its index. So for that you have to take two lists. Let's say first list is num to store the numerators and denum is to store the denominator values. These two has to be given by the user, so you have to use eval function to take it from the user at runtime. Now, first of all, you have to find out the numerator of the smallest fraction. Let's say the numerator of the smallest fraction is, let's say, the value which is present at index number 0 of the num list, the list of numerators. And denominator of the smallest fraction, let's store it in a variable, let's say DSF, which is the value which is at index number 0 of the list dnum. That means the first two values. Okay, now we will take a loop for I in range 1 to length of num or numerator, because both are having same length, so you can take length of either of the list. So I will range from 1 till the length if numerator of I, numerator at position I divided by dnum I is less than nsf divided by dsf. That means I will have values from 1 to like this. So it will check the index number, the value which is at index number 1 of both the list. It will take the fraction of that one, numerator by denominator, is less than this fraction, that is your smallest fraction nsf divided by dsf, because we have taken the values at index number 0 to be the smallest fraction. If it is less, then your new nsf value will be num of I and new dsf value will be dnum of I. So like this it will continue. Okay, then by the end of the loop, your smallest fractions you will get, that is nsf by dsf. Okay, now the index number will be, can use the index function to get the index value of that particular element. So once you run the program, then it will ask you to enter the first list of numerators, that is, let's say 27315, and the list of denominator is like this, having values 5, 8, 4, 6, 9. Both should be of same length. Now the smallest fraction is 1 divided by 6, and this is at index number 3. So this is how you get in the first iteration. Like initially we had taken the values which are at index number 0 to be the smallest fraction. So NSF will have value 2 and DSF will have value 5. Then your loop will continue. It will check it's 7 by 8, then 3 by 4, 1 by 6. All these things will be checked, and whichever is the smallest, that will be stored. Now write a program to display maximum and minimum values from the specified range of indexes of a list. Okay, so let's say there is a list LST which will be taken from the user at runtime by using eval function. Now we will have two more values, that is start index and stop index. These two values will also be taken from the user and stored in a variable start underscore I and stop underscore I. Then max value will be the max of LST of start index to stop index. Okay, whatever range you have given, that you have to give. So you have to use max function over there. Then mean value will be mean of LST of start index to stop index. You have to use mean function to find out the minimum value from that range. Okay, so once you run the program, let's say the entered list is like this. And here you have given the start index as 2 and stop index as 6. So it will find in that range starting from index number 2 to index number 6, which is the maximum value, that is 10, and the minimum value is 1. Now write a program to move all duplicate values in a list to the end of the list. So you can see here there is a list LST having some values. You can see there are so many duplicate values, like 3 is occurring 3 times and 5 is there 3 times, like this. 6 is also present 2 times, like this. Duplicate entries are there. Now we will take one more list, let's say DUP, which will store the duplicate entries. So we will take a for loop for I in LST. If lst.count of I is greater than 1, that means if any item is occurring more than one time, then just append that item in the list DUP and remove that item from the list LST. Okay, so like this the loop will continue. Then at the end of this loop, you will get LST will be having only the unique elements and DUP will be having the duplicate entries. Okay, now we need to move these duplicate elements at the end of the list LST. So just use extend function like lst.extend dup. Now the values, the duplicate values, those are present in the list dup, that will be extended or added at the end of the list LST. So your LST will become like this. So the original list is, you can see 3, 4, 3, 5, 6, 1, like this. And after moving duplicates to the end, the list becomes like this. So your initial entries are the unique entries like 4, 5, 1, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, like this. Then your duplicate entries are there, like 3 is again 2 times are there, so then print those duplicate entries are printed there. Then 6 is one more time is there, so another 6. Then 5 is again 2 more 5s are there, which are printed at the last. So all this, so that means your first entries will be the unique entries and the duplicate values of those elements will be printed in the last of the list. Now write a program to print two equal sized lists and print the first index where they differ. So this is a very simple program. You have to take two lists, LST1 and LST2, and just have to take for I in range length of LST1. Okay, so I will range from 0 to length of LST1 because two lengths are of same size, so you can take any of the lengths. If LST1 of I is not equal to LST2 of I, that means it will check all the elements present at index number 0 to 0, 1, 2, like this. So it will be compared. That means the first element of the list 1 will be compared with the first element of list 2. If they are not same, then wherever they will differ, the loop will break over there. Okay. So will not check further, will not compare, because we need that particular index only where they differ, and the index is I. Index number is I where they differ. So once you run the program, let's say the first list is 9135743 and the second list is like this 9138462. So initial first two values they are same, second two they are same, third two they are same, fourth one they are different. So there your loop will break and your I value is 3. At index number 3 they are different. So like this. Now write a program that reverses an array of integers in place. So to reverse one list in place, you can just use the reverse function. So you can take one array of integers like this. Then you can print the original arrays like this, and arr.reverse function you will just call. Then there only in the same list the values will be reversed. Now this time if you print arr, then you will get your list is reversed. The items are present in reverse order. Now here is the solutions of chapter 7, that is list manipulation. We have discussed all the TypeC questions, and if there is any doubt you can put it in comment section, and stay tuned for more such solutions and do subscribe. Thank you.